everyone and welcome back to another video. So I'm going to point out that we have a very busy background in this video straight away because it has just been my birthday. This is birthday balloons that I'm not willing to take down yet because they're absolutely beautiful, and we also still have my graduation balloon, so I apologize for the busy background. Today we are doing a fitness video, as is stated in the title. I am going to tell you how to write your first workout plan. By workout, I mean weights. I am a weights kind of gal. I don't really do anything else. Also, sorry about my dog. He's probably like creeping into frame. I don't really do much else. This isn't going to be how to put cardio into your plan, but this is just kind of like, here's how to write your first weights plan. For qualifications, I am a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer since I was 18, so that makes it 7 years now. I have been lifting weights since I was 15. I have been writing plans for people for 7 years because obviously I've been a PT for that long. So I'm kind of versed in it, but this is going to be very targeted towards, it's your first one, it's a beginner thing, you don't know how to write your first ever one. I'm going to tell you how to do it. I have got my notes because I am a prepared person, so if I keep looking at this, I just don't want to miss anything. That's the thing. If this is the first time you've done this, Oakley's going to keep hitting the tripod, I apologise. If this is your first time doing this, I don't want to make you mess up because I forgot to say something, so we have notes. First thing I'm going to say, and might seem a little bit counterintuitive, you probably have already started doing this, but start going to the gym. This is the way that I always write workouts, and I tell people to write workouts, and I write workouts for people, is it target around you. You want to put this seamlessly into your life. You don't want it to feel like it's a super hard thing to get to the gym the amount of times that you're going to program yourself for. You don't want to feel like you hate your workout. So this is going to be targeted towards you. So the first thing that I would say is start going to the gym. See how many times you can realistically get there, because if you're going to write yourself a program for 6 workouts a week and then realistically you're only going 3 times, there's no point in having that workout plan because it's just not tailored towards you. It doesn't matter if you want to go 6 times. If you can't get there 6 times, the workout plan is a little bit irrelevant because it's all tailored towards a certain thing, if that'll make sense towards the end. So be completely realistic about how many times you go, and the best way to do that is to start going and just doing whatever you feel like. The best thing to do is to go and start trying out different movements. There are loads of kind of workout videos that you can follow. I have plenty on my channel. I'll leave the link to the playlist above. Try those different workouts whilst you are figuring out what you enjoy to do, because there are certain movements that you will enjoy a whole lot more. There are some movements that you're not gonna like, and that's personal preference. There is nothing wrong with that. You do not have to force yourself to do a movement that you do not like. So when you are thinking about writing your own plan, you want to enjoy it. You want to put stuff in that you know you're gonna like look forward to. So my best advice is to go to the gym, start using other people's workouts. Obviously you don't have to do them all the time. I would vary it as much as possible. So do one workout one day, some completely different workout the next day, another the next day, and just figure out which ones you like to do. Not workouts, but movements. So if you like squats, you know you want to put squats in there. If you absolutely hate hip thrusts with a passion, you know you're not going to put that in your plan because you've tried it out. So I would recommend trying all those different things. Have a notes app on your phone and write down all the ones that you like to do and you feel are effective as well, because there are some exercises that you might not like and also might not feel anything going on. You're probably not going to enjoy that on the long term. So keep a notes app on your phone and write down everything that you know you want to include in your plan. Because this plan that I'm making you, well, not making you, right? This plan that you're going to write, you're going to keep consistent for like 8 to 12 weeks. You're going to be on it for a while, so you want to enjoy it. With that is, you need to figure out whether you want or need a coach. Obviously that comes down to finances first of all, if you can afford one. If you can't afford one, you're not going to have one. But coaches, I mean, I know I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Biased, because I am a coach, but coaches are very useful in the beginning because they can set up your training in terms of they can make you start off good, because you can start off bad with terrible form and you could do that for like 3 years before you realize that your form is bad. If you have a coach, they're going to set you up with correct form straight away. They're going to write this plan for you. Let's be honest. You need to figure out whether you need the help with your training first, I would say, because then you can get off on the right foot and it just works well. But if you feel like you don't need one, if you feel like you are doing all the exercise correctly, you know how to work the equipment, then that's completely fine. I'm going to tell you how to write your own plan. Okay, once you have done all that and figured out the exercises that you like, figure out if you want to coach, figure out how many times you're going to go to the gym, you can then figure out your split. And what that means is what workouts you're going to do. And this is going to be heavily dictated by how often you can get to the gym. So rule of thumb is for muscle growth, which is what I imagine you guys are wanting to do if you're looking to write a weights plan. If your goal is weight loss, I would still recommend lifting weights. It's fun. It's really effective for being healthy. It's really good for being healthy as you grow older. So I'd still recommend weights if your goal is weight loss. But you want to train muscle groups at least twice a week. That's the most effective way to put on muscle. So that's what we want to do. So that is how we dictate our split. So for example, if you are going to the gym for three times a week or less, you're probably going to do full body split, because that means that you can hit things twice in 1 week. If you wanted to do upper and lower, for example, if you were only going 3 times that week, you'd only be hitting something twice. No, hang on. You will only be hitting some muscle groups once, because it's going to be impossible, isn't it? If you do like upper, lower, upper, you're not going to be hitting your lower twice in 1 week. You could do upper, lower, full body, but that full body is probably going to be very long, because you're going to have to hit every single muscle group in your body to hit them twice that week. So I would say if you are doing 3 workouts or less, full body workouts. If you are doing 4, you can do upper, lower. If you're doing 5 or 6, then you can probably go into upper, lower, full, which is personally what I do. I do upper, lower, no I don't, that's a lie. I do lower, upper, and then full body, and I only do 2 sets of lower, and then the rest is upper. Upper tends to be harder to hit the muscle groups twice, because there are a lot more little muscles going on in your upper body. So it completely comes down to you. There is a split called push-pull legs, or push-pull, that you might have heard of. This kind of, and there is also like body part splits, so arms, legs, chest, back, thighs, things like that. That tends to come from old school bodybuilding days. If you prefer that, do that. It's completely okay. But I am very research backed, and the research says if you want to put on muscle, the best thing to do is to hit the muscle groups twice a week. If you're doing singular muscle groups in different sessions, you can't hit it twice a week. So I always go with upper, lower, but push-pull is effective as well. I just don't like the figuring out of push-pull. I've got to figure out whether it's a push or pull exercise, and some things are really hard to figure out. That sounds silly, but some things are really hard to figure out. So I like to do upper, lower, full if you're doing 5, or you could do whatever you want. But basically, like I say, the main thing is you want to hit muscle groups twice in 1 week. So once you've done that, we can go on to actually working out your plan. I would recommend writing it down or typing it. I normally do it in the notes app on my phone, but the first thing you going to want to do is to separate your days. So I will literally start off by writing the headings: upper 1, upper 2, lower 1, lower 2, full body. I normally start with lower just because of preference, but start wherever you want. And then you're going to go back to the other notes app, and you're going to look at the exercises that you wanted to do. So say you wanted to do squats, push press, bicep curls, like hammer curls, okay? Then you're going to go over to your workout, and you're going to put them in the days accordingly. So you're obviously going to put squats in a lower body day, or full body, wherever you're doing, and then you're going to put the push press in the upper body day, or whatever you're doing. You're going to fit them in wherever you want them. So for example, I want to do squats the first thing I do, so that goes in my lower 1, because if it goes in my lower 2, I'm not doing it till like Thursday. I want to get squats out of the way on a Monday, done. So just put them in wherever they fit and wherever you want to do them. Next up, you're going to make sure you reorder them so your big lifts are first in that workout. So say you've got one of your lower body days, right? And in there, you've got leg extension, squats, and then lying hamstring curl. You're going to reorder it so squats goes at the beginning. All of your big lifts, which are compound lifts, that's the fancy name for them, need to go at the front of the workout because like you need to have the full amount of energy that you have for that workout for the big lifts. The big lifts consist of, you'll hear of the big three. The big three is bench press, deadlifts, and squats. They are the main big lifts. But then I would also put in things like overhead pressing. I would even put in leg press to an extent. If you're doing heavy leg pressing, it's a big lift. So they're kind of your big lifts that you want to make sure you're at the front of the workouts that you're doing. So reorder them, put them at the front. Another thing to think about is your gym layout and whether you feel comfortable moving about your gym a lot. If you are just beginning and you want to kind of stay in one section, think about the things that are in that one section. If you don't want to move about a lot, the last thing you want to be doing is going from, say, like a tricep extension to then all the way across your gym to do a preacher curl and then back across there to do face pulls on the same thing that you just did the tricep extension. Think about where the things are in your gym and whether you're okay moving about. If you're going to do any type of supersets, which is where you perform an exercise with no rest and go on to another exercise, you don't want to be doing that with two things that are across the gym. You want to do things that are close. So think about if you're okay with moving about, and if you're not, try and put things together so you don't have to. Next thing you're going to do is figure out how many sets of things you want to do. Again, I think that comes down to preference. If you want to do 5 sets of squats, that's fine, that's up to you, but put that in and then do it for the rest of your workout as well. Don't think about it too hard at the minute in terms of what you should be doing, because that's going to come next, but think about how many you want to do. For example, if I programmed 6 sets of squats into my workout, I'd hate my life. Put however many you want to do, and then we can figure it out a little bit later on whether it's the right thing to be doing. After you have done that, you're going to go to the top of your notes. If you're using your phone, if you're writing it down, put it at the bottom. You're just going to put somewhere, you're going to list all of the major muscle groups, okay? So they are quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves to an extent if you want to train calves, delts, chest, back, shoulders, biceps and triceps, okay? You're going to list all of them down. Then you are going to go through your workout and you're going to put how many sets you're doing of what. So for example, okay, we'll do a lower body day. Say if you do squats, then leg extension, then lying hamstring curl. Your squats, say if you're doing 4 sets, you'll then go into your muscle groups and you'll write 4 sets in quads and 4 sets in glutes. Then if you're doing 4 sets of leg extension, you'll go back into quads and make that 8 because you're doing 8 sets overall. Then on a lying hamstring curl, if you're doing 4 again, you'll then put 4 in hamstrings, if that makes sense. And you go through your entire workouts and put them all in and see how many overall sets you're doing in that week. So if you're doing like squats one day and then leg press the next day and you're doing 4 sets on each, you're actually going to have 8. It doesn't matter about how many you're doing each day, it will want the overall number. Overall, we want to aim for 10 to 20 sets of each muscle group, okay? That's overall throughout the week. If you are a beginner, you want to probably start at like around the 10 mark. You don't want to go too high into a 20. It kind of goes like gradually up. So if you're intermediate, you probably want to stick around like the 14 to 16 mark. If you're advanced, you probably want to go a little bit higher. That's all to do with just how long you've been training. If you haven't been training that long, start off around the 10 mark, okay? So now that we know we need to do 10 to 20, we need to look at our list and see if we're hitting that. If you aren't hitting them on like different ones, you need to go back into your plan and put something else in. So if you are lacking on triceps, for example, you need to go back into your upper one and put a tricep exercise in. If you've only put your favorites in so far, this won't be that difficult. If you've already kind of like filled your rota kind of thing for how long you can spend in the gym, you're probably going to find this a bit more difficult. You might have to start like changing exercises to try and figure out how you can get more in, but it depends on how much you've already planned for how difficult this is. If you've only got a few exercises, it's not going to be that difficult, but you want to make sure every single muscle group has 10 to 20. If you aren't wanting to focus on certain muscle groups, you can lower them down. For example, my volume, which is what this is, my volume for glutes is way higher than what my triceps volume is, for example. You don't have to do it like that, but if you are struggling, don't worry too much about the muscle groups that you really aren't bothered with, but you do want to try and make sure that they're all at least 10. When you are doing this, you need to remember the big lifts, and even to an extent some smaller lifts, use multiple muscle groups. For example, bench press, it's not just a chest exercise, it's using triceps as well. You need to include that in there, because if not, you're gonna overexert the muscle essentially, because if you're forgetting about all the little, glutes is a really good example of this. Glutes comes into a lot of exercises, and if you aren't including that in your plan, you're probably gonna have too much volume on your glutes. So think about all of the muscle groups that exercises are using. This is more of an advanced step, so don't panic about this if you're already feeling a little bit overwhelmed or you're already like, what's going on? But you also want to think about different angles for the muscles. So triceps are a really good example of this. If you think about the way that the triceps are being used in a bench press compared to the way that the triceps are being used if you're doing like an overhead kind of extension, completely different. So you want to include like loads of different angles in there at the same time. But like I said, that's only if you kind of feeling a bit more confident about your plan, you need to worry about that. So once you have made sure you have 10 to 20 sets of all the different muscle groups being used, you have exercises that you like in there, you are done. That's your workout plan. You want to make sure that you aren't doing too much. You are giving yourself enough rest. I say 2 minutes minimum. I know that can feel a little bit funny, but you want to do 2 minutes minimum, especially in your big lifts. With your accessory kind of lifts, so things like that come nearer the end, you can probably get away with like 1.5 minutes, but please don't go below that. You're going to overexert your body and you're not going to be able to get to your like full potential that your muscles could use. Your muscles need rest in between working hard. It just has to be. And another thing to be thinking about is the amount of effort you are putting into it. This is kind of a whole other video, but you want to try and be, especially if your aim is muscle gain, you want to be 1 to 5 reps away from failure. I know I haven't really talked about reps throughout this, but that's because this is so individual. Different rep ranges, you might have heard of this, where things are like lower rep ranges are for strength, and then 8 to 12 are for hypertrophy, and then 12 plus are endurance kind of thing. There is kind of mixed stuff in the literature about this. Just do what feels good for you. I normally, for me personally, and for what I've seen from coaches that have been in the industry for ages, is that on your big lifts, you should probably be performing a bit of a range. So for example, I do 2 hard sets on my big lifts. So that'll be like low reps, like below 8. And then I'll do either how many sets you're doing, like 1 or 2 sets of kind of about the 8 to 12 mark, where you're focusing more on form and things like that. And you can do that in smaller lifts as well. It doesn't have to be just down to your big lifts. But overall, you kind of want to be 1 to 5 reps away from failure. And failure means you literally can't move that muscle anymore. It doesn't mean that you are just a little bit tired and like, I can't be bothered with that. You want to be at failure where you literally can't lift the weight anymore. And for muscle gain, you want to be 1 to 5 reps away from that. If you're going to failure every single set, you're not going to put on muscle because your body's going to be way too tired. So make sure you're not pushing yourself too hard, but also make sure that you are pushing yourself to near that to try and trigger the muscles to grow a little bit. So reps really does come down to what weight you're using and how much effort you're putting in. It doesn't matter what reps I use, it doesn't matter what reps anybody else has used. It is very, very personal for how much weight you are using and how hard you find that. So that is it. So I'm going to recap very, very quickly because I feel like I talked a whole lot there and it was a little bit complicated. So step 1, go to the gym, figure out how many times you can go to the gym and what exercises you want to do whilst you're there. 2, figure out your split. Figure out if you're doing full body workouts, upper lower workouts, push pull workouts. Figure out your split. 3, separate out your days when you're writing it down and put the exercises that you want to do in accordingly. 4, reorder those lifts into the big lifts first and then the accessory lifts after that. 5, figure out how many sets you're going to do of each exercise to your personal preference, how many you actually would like to do in the gym. 6, write down all of the major muscle groups that you can do in all of the workouts. So again, quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, chest, back, shoulders, biceps, triceps. 7, figure out if you're within the right range for sets. You need to be between 10 and 20 sets for each major muscle groups. Then step 8, adjust that accordingly. Try and make sure you are hitting 10 to 20 in each muscle group. If you're below it, go and figure out what exercises you'd like to put in to make sure you are within that range. And that is it. I hope all of that made sense. I know it kind of felt a bit like convoluted and like complicated, but to be honest, writing a plan is a little bit complicated. That's why people pay for other people to do it, like me. So I hope all of that made sense. If not, message me, I can write you one. It is a little bit all over the place, and the hardest bit is you've got to do it tailored for you. This is why a lot of personal trainers and coaches, when I say personal trainers and coaches, I kind of mean the same thing. It's just different people call themselves different things. That's why a lot of coaches say don't just use somebody else's plan off the internet. You also want to make sure you're being consistent with it, which is why I wouldn't say it's a good thing to just follow somebody else's workout and do whatever you want week by week. If you're going to the gym for enjoyment, do that. If that's what you enjoy, just do that. But if you want to put on muscle, you kind of want to stay consistent. So like I say, stick with this plan for 8 to 12 weeks, and then you can write yourself a new one. I normally just do it when I'm bored, as long as I've been doing it for 8 weeks. So a minimum of 8 weeks, and then I'll change it whenever I get bored. Just try and make sure you're doing the same one each week. But like I say, if you're doing this for enjoyment purposes only, just do whatever workouts you want. This is just there for if you want to put on some muscle. Again, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions on it, I'm more than happy to answer them, so please comment below. If you're stuck for workouts to do or exercises to try, like I said, I have got loads on my channel, so go check out my other videos. But that is going to be it for this video. Like I said, please, if you have any questions or if I've made that too complicated, let me know down below and I will do it again, or I'll answer the questions you have. But thank you so much for watching this one, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.